Coming up, the BlindShell Classic 3 review, and Apple finally hold an event.
You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Hey, Shaun Preece, happy Tuesday. It feels weird saying that at the beginning of the week. What happened to Monday?
I know. Didn't it feel weird not having a show yesterday? I was just kicking around the house. I'm telling you, I wanted to record. Even if it didn't go out on air, I still wanted to record something. It was wrong.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? I blame him.
Mr. F.
Why?
Why are you blaming him?
Because he told us to take the day off for... is it Family Day in Canada? I think it is, and President's Day in the US. Of course, North America has their day off, their relaxation day, which is lots of fun.
A relaxation day?
Well, you don't do anything, do you? So what else do? You relax, or you sit with family, which is the exact opposite.
Oh. Yeah, yes, exactly. Let's move along quickly.
Listen, we've got lots of news to get through, and of course, we're going to get to that BlindShell Classic 3 review. It's finally here, Shaun. Finally.
Well, I was going to pick you up on that because you said an Apple finally have an event, but I would switch that around. Finally, the BlindShell Classic 3 review is here, Stephen Scott. I'm not casting, any aspersions on you, but it took its time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll get to the news in a minute. I'll get to you later. Hey, listen, quick Netflix recommendation for you. So there's a new show that, I don't know when it dropped on Netflix, but if you are into AI at the moment and you love the idea of a humanoid robot in your home, then you might want to watch this. It's called Cassandra. It's available on Netflix. It's actually a German show. It's a German production, but it's been dubbed into English with English audio description. I love that Netflix do this now. I think it's incredible. And Apple are very good at doing this, but of course Netflix do it as well. And it does make such a difference. You get a lot of these shows that come along, and if they're foreign language, you don't often get the... you might get it in English, but you might not get it with AD.
Yep.
But they did go all out on this one, and I'm so glad. I don't know how good the dubbing is, because I can't tell if the mouse are moving out of sync with whatever else, so it doesn't really
but how does it sound? I always remember watching Squid Game, because everyone said, you got to watch Squid Game. And I couldn't, because it just sounded like a cartoon to me, to my ear. The voices just sounded wrong. Yes,
it's weird, right? Because the whole thing is American accents, right? So the whole thing's out of step a little bit. And if you watch it, you'll understand what I mean. It's kind of, the thing about the whole show is it's a bit quirky. It's a bit weird. It's definitely not for the kids, by the way, not family viewing. But if you are looking for something to entertain you, and I don't know if it'll hook you as much as it hooked me, but I was totally sucked in by it. I thought it was brilliant. The thing I would say is, I think the voices are good. The only weird thing is that obviously there's a lot of German references in it, and there's a lot of German music in it. And it sits slightly out of line with the theme or the feeling of this being an American show. It's not American, obviously.
It's a global village now. It's fine.
Now we don't care anymore. Okay, fine.
That's all good. Okay, Nick, Red Balloons, of course. Yes, so we know all the German songs.
Is that the only one you know? I think that's the only one they didn't use in the show, actually. There's a brilliant song in there, by the way, by a Scottish band. Some of the music was actually pretty good. By a Scottish band, a very old... No, not them. Going right back. So you might want to see if you can spot which one it is. But yeah, really good. It's a great show. And I will say this, if you are thinking of getting a humanoid robot, you may think again. And also you might unplug your Lady A when you're finished watching.
You can't say that, because the Amazon Product and Services event is coming up on the 26th
very good,
of
very
February.
good. Very good.
So everyone prepare for that.
On track with that one. Look at you.
Took us back.
Listen, shall we get into the news?
Oh, yes.
Well, shall we? Right. Let's try that again.
We can wait.
Shall we get into the news?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Rob.
Rob had a day off. He's slow.
He's still waking up, is he? Too much Bud Light, I think, the weekend. Okay.
Other beers are available. Thank you. God bless you, Mr. F.
Are they, though? Okay. I don't drink beer. What are you talking about? It's only literally pulled that name out of my backside. I have no idea anything about it. Is that even beer? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. We have got big news. In fact, you know what? This is deserving.
Breaking news.
Yes, because I mentioned the Apple event, but that's not the story that's breaking today. No. The story we're breaking today is Double Tap is coming to CSUN.
Hey!
Yes, we are going to be at CSUN, joining thousands of blind people from around the world, celebrating the CSUN Assistive Technology Conference's 40th year in Anaheim in California. If you're there, you should come along and say hi. We'd love to see you. And of course, if you're like us and only dreamed of going, well, don't worry. Double Tap's got your back on this. We'll be covering the whole thing daily from Monday, 10th March, and all that week from the event floor with exclusive interviews, product announcements, and more. And we've got a lot to share. So don't forget to subscribe. You can check out the podcast, of course, subscribe there. YouTube as well. We'll be throwing up some extra content during that week. So make sure you're subscribed. It is going to be a lot of fun, Shaun. We are going to be in California for the incredible CSUN event. And it's 40th year.
Who would have thought? I am so excited. I've never been to CSUN before, so absolutely amazing. I must admit, I am slightly nervous. The amount of people, the amount of exhibitors. We're going to be busy, put it that way.
We're going to be busy. I think someone said to me, do not expect to sleep for a week. Which for you, that was perfectly fine because you barely sleep anyway.
Yeah, but I think that's because of all the CSUN parties, of course.
Yes, we are going to be partying into the at least 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, you talk for yourself.
That's quite late. I mean, I must do it 9:30. I'm thinking, snuggle up, what's on TV, maybe a little film. That would be quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously, if we would love to meet any of you there. So if you are going, look out for us. Yeah,
if you're going along, come say hello. We're going to be there. You'll hear us. For sure. You don't have to worry about finding us. You'll hear us. You'll hear him bumping about. You'll hear me shouting at people. Just listen for a strange Scottish accent and a weird English fellow. And we're going to be there in force. So bringing you all the news from CSUN. I'm so pleased we're getting the chance to go. And we're able to do this because of the wonderful folks here at AMI, of course, but also through our friends at Be My Eyes. I'm really pleased to say they're helping us out to do this, and also Glidance as well, who are going to be making it possible for us to make the trip. We couldn't do it otherwise, so really, really appreciate that from those guys, and it's going to be a brilliant event. We'll bring you all the news as it comes, and goodness me, there's plenty to share. I've got a little bit of a heads up on some things. Can't say too much, but it's going to be a good one. That's all I can tell you.
Cool. Yeah, no, I can't wait.
CSUN 40th anniversary will be kicking off on Monday, 10th of March. And Shaun and I, I was thinking we should maybe do like a little, I know we do the show here every day on YouTube and we do it on podcast and on AMI audio. But I'm thinking for you audio lovers out there, for you,
what
OGs,
are you trying to say?
Let's say OGs, the ones who've been with us from the start, audio only. Still listening audio only. I think we should do a little audio blog to go alongside the show.
What, travel blog, you mean?
Yeah, just you and I. We could just record some stuff on the way.
There'll just be lots of beeps, won't it? And me walking into things, falling over suitcases.
Listening to a lot of voiceover chat.
Asking where the toilet is constantly.
Always. And Jane's coming with us, so, I've guaranteed...
Asking Jane what she's done with the kit bag.
Well, actually, the solution here is that Mark Aflala's coming with us. He is going to be carrying all the kits, so we don't have to worry about that. All we lose is our underwear if it goes horribly wrong.
If we're lucky. Okay, very good.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Transitioning on to another story quickly. So this is another one that's quite interesting. A global accessibility tech company and Washington, D.C.'s transit system are expanding access to an app for visually impaired people to basically make it more easy to get around local rail and bus stations. This is following a multi-year pilot program at select metro stations. WayMap, which is based in London, England, will now see its AI-driven navigation tool used across Washington's Metropolitan Area Transit Authorities Network, which is WMATA. Wow. That includes 98 rail stations. 98 rail stations, 325 bus routes, plus the respective bus stations as well. The firm has been testing the tech at several stations since 2022. And what sets the company apart, as far as it's concerned, is how it pulls information to direct people. So the app uses sensors built into smartphones, feeding raw data into AI algorithms to determine the step length and direction and provide audio instructions. It does not rely on GPS or the internet. Let's listen to Evelyn, who lives in Washington, D.C., and has been trialing this app for a while now.
I've been working with WayMap for these past few months and absolutely love that it gives me a sense of reassurance.
She uses her phone.
It is so accurate in making sure that you are standing at the correct platform and you're waiting for the train that you need to take you to the place that you want to go.
Evelyn smiles as a train speeds by in the subway station. She stands in a grocery aisle with a shopping cart.
Even when I am underground, I am good because WayMap doesn't need signal reception to function.
She runs the cane back and forth on the walkway in front of her.
When I am on the overpass, it reassures me that I'm going to be on the overpass for how long, and then lets me know when I'll be changing into a different type of pavement as if I was going towards the bus bays.
She walks along an overpass with the aid of her cane. She removes a jacket from a closet.
As a woman that's blind and is of color, I want to always make sure that I am safe.
She ties her sneakers.
It's just very reassuring to have the phone in my pocket and be listening to the instructions of where I need to go.
She taps her feet as she listens to music in a seat on the subway.
And we're going to be talking to Tom Pei, who is the founder and president of WayMap, in an interview that will air in the coming weeks here on Double Tap. Very cool story. Very cool app.
It is, yeah. Now, I'm a little bit confused here between Good Maps and WayMap. Is there a connection? Does it work the same way? Are they different faces of the same company? I'm not entirely sure.
These are all questions for the company, right? Because I'm with you. I was thinking about Good Maps when I was hearing about this. Now, they're not the same company. It's a different company. But they clearly are using similar types of technology. And of course, the key here is for Good Maps and for WayMap to get themselves into these transit systems, into shopping centers, into whatever it might be, hospitals. This is the thing. Now, look, I love the fact there's two companies doing this. I want more companies to be doing this. I want more people to be investing in this kind of technology. The cool thing is once it's mapped, it's done, right? So it's making the whole thing easier, making the whole process easier for all of us to get around. The amount of times I'm going to a hospital today and it's the same problem every time. Where is the place I'm trying to get to? The over there situation in hospitals is ridiculous. Oh, it's over there. Really?
I had this just yesterday, actually. Same thing. My first bad Uber experience, actually, going to the dentist. And the Uber said, I can't drop you off where the final destination is. I can't get there. He said, but this is as close as I can get. And just, that was it. And threw me out. And I asked my phone to get me directions to the dentist. And I walked completely the wrong direction down the street. And it didn't once tell me, turn around, you're going the wrong way. You know what I mean? GPS is fine, but we need this tailored to us that will keep us updated and actually tell you when you're going the wrong way. I was using Apple Maps at the time. But I've got to say, when I used Good Maps, I have tried to use WayMaps before. I recently updated it, actually, but it still says there's nothing available around you. So it's not supported anywhere near me.
Yeah.
But when I used Good Maps, again, very similar technology, I had the same experience as when the first time I used an app like TapTapC on my iPhone. I was blown away and thought, it's game-changing.
Yeah.
I was able to move around the train station using Good Maps just so confidently, and it was fantastic. And I think, actually, I kind of wish that to increase the take-up of this sort of thing is that these 3D maps were just made, open source, were available to anyone. Not that a company has to sign up to a particular app service, if you like. But this is a great technology, especially no internet connection needed. It just works so well.
Yeah, that's what's wonderful about it. And I love the idea of this kind of technology rolling out. I hope it comes out to more places. But like you say, it's the rollout. It's the take-up as well by companies and businesses who need to. I think this is why I love talking about this, because I kind of want the companies to get their head around why this is so useful to us. Like, they may get representatives, I'm sure these guys who go out there. I mean, of course, we had Neil Barnfather on from Good Maps talking about it, and he's so passionate. I can imagine when he goes to visit companies, I just don't know why they don't buy it in an instant, because to me, it's like, well, look, you're giving the opportunity for so many more people to use whatever service it is you offer. If it's a transit network, if it's a shopping mall, if it's a hospital, whatever the facility is, you're giving more people independence. But also in a shopping mall, for example, the opportunity to spend money. And I don't know, I always think to myself, why are these companies so against wanting to make money. Of course we're going to use these places. I will never go near a shopping mall on my own. Not anymore.
No, it's because they don't see us. The argument would be there's no purpose for it because we don't get blind people here. Well, there may be a correlation there. You don't get blind people there because, and to be honest, you do get blind people there.
Look,
but
how many
sighted
times?
Assistance.
How many times on a website do you hear this? If you contact someone, I've heard this a lot from people, from advocates, and it's true. I've heard it myself, where people say, "Oh, we don't have any blind people visit our website, so there's no need to make it accessible."
Yeah.
Well, hang on. Think about this. What you've just said. Just think about that for a second. Yeah. They've not come to your website because it's inaccessible. Okay, sorry. What's the next bit again? They don't use the website.
Circular.
Yeah, it's a bit like saying, well, yeah, I built a shop, but I never unlocked the front door. I never get any customers. I don't get it.
It's true.
So weird.
But this is great news. So, we'd be interested, anyone in that area who's used it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know if you've been trialing it. Of course, Evelyn there, one of the videos that WayMap produced, and we'll talk to Tom Pay, as I say, in the next couple of weeks, and we will get him on. He's actually coming on the show, I think, next week, or recording with us next week, so we'll get that on very soon. Now, the other story I want to mention is, while the trade war, of course, with the US hasn't really ramped up tariffs on as many products as initially thought, there is still a surging sense of Canadian pride at the minute, as people are trying to learn more about what brands and products are actually made in the country. And this is where a new app called Shop Canadian has come in. It's been released on the App Store and on the Google Play Store as well. It lets people scan barcodes to quickly learn if a product is made in Canada or not. The app is quite simple to use and very accessible, according to people I've been following on Mastodon who've been recommending it. And it was actually developed by 2 developers from Edmonton. So, yeah.
Oh, cool.
There you go.
Oh, it's a great idea. I'm really sad that it has to exist, but
I don't know. I think let's buy more Canadian, right? I think that's good.
Yeah, I know, but why? Why is the reason for this sort of? It's almost a protest at this point because of the treatment. But yeah, hey, we're not going to go there. But it's good that you have this option. What's it called again?
So it's called Shop Canadian. And it's simple as that, which is a great name for it. And you can go check it out. As I say, it's based on barcodes. Of course, finding a barcode can be a little bit challenging for some products, but your mileage may
it's got
vary.
a lot better, I've noticed recently. It seems to, it depends on the app, but yeah, give it a try. Let us know.
And finally, yes, we must mention, it's weird to put it finally, but there we are. Apple have announced the date of their next event, or their first event, I should say, of 2025. The upcoming event, which is shrouded in mystery at the minute, is going to be taking place on Wednesday, where it's expected the new iPhone SE will be shown off. Now, Tim Cook posted on X that on Wednesday, the 19th of February, we would meet the newest member of the family.
Oh, what family? I mean, this could be anything. This could be a Mac. This could be an Apple TV. This could be a HomePod. It could be an Apple Watch.
Well, this is the thing, right? Some people are saying that the phone's going to be renamed, or, as you say, something totally different might come out entirely.
No, it's an iPhone, as we would know it, SE4, but it will be an iPhone 16e is the rumor now. Is it E? I think so.
I don't think that's going to be the name, do you? Because then they tie it to the brand. That wouldn't make sense. Then they have to bring out a new iPhone SE every
generation.
year. I think it's going to be called the iPhone Air.
Oh, now, yeah, but do you think it'll be a new design then, as in a lot thinner? Because Air has that connotation, I believe that's the word, that is going to be very, very thin.
That's true. That's true. They may save that for next year because there's talk of the iPhone 17, or this year, I should say, because the iPhone 17 apparently is going to be thinner and thinner and thinner. Why so thin?
Total redesign, they say, and also the possibility of a flip iPhone.
Oh,
I want one.
Please, really? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Just because it's a chain, Delilah. Because
I knew we'd get this.
We're so bored of the standard iPhone, or I should say smartphone, because they're all the same, right? So
is this where we're at? We're so bored of the current design. Let's half it in 2. There we go. Problem solved.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's just a change. Everyone likes a change until we get it in our hands and say, I miss the old one.
Yeah, I'll bring back the old one. Where's the iPhone SE? Bring it back.
Is this going to be an event? No, because you use the word event here. Is this not just going to drop in the Apple Store?
Well, this is the thing. So on the actual message that is put up there by Tim Cook on X.
Timmy Apples, yeah.
The hashtag is Apple Launch. Now, that's new. They've never done that before. They tend to stick to event. They'll always call it an Apple event. Launch suggests a video that may just drop. This is exactly what they did last year. They had those 3 days where they just launched products, and I think that's the case with this. The question is, our intention tomorrow is to bring you the news as we get it. That may mean that we get a bit late to air tomorrow. I don't know, because I don't know what's going to happen. We don't know anything. So we're going to wait. We're going to stand by our RSS feeds and keep hitting refresh on the Apple website and see what happens. But
How long do we wait, Stephen Scott?
I give it till Thursday, and then then I guarantee you we'll do something else. But yes, that is coming up. But anyway, let's move on, because let's bring in Michael Babcock. We're going to talk now all about the BlindShell Classic 3. But first, here's how you can get involved with Double Tap.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback at doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Time to talk about the BlindShell Classic 3, the ill-fated review that has... been dogging me for a while. Do you know, I think I put this on myself. I really do. I build myself up for these things, and then I feel terrible when I don't get round to them. But never fear, I am here, and I can tell you that I have been playing quite a bit with the BlindShell Classic 3, but not enough, I don't think. Not enough. So I thought we should bring someone in who knows his onions when it comes to this kind of stuff. He's been playing with it as well. It is, of course, our good friend, Michael Babcock. Hey, Michael Babcock's back here again. God, that's so late in coming in.
I was waiting for it.
That's terrible, isn't it? Honestly, it's
say,
pathetic.
I think we should change Mickey's name. I think he should now be known as Mickey Onions, because every time we have him on, you say he knows his onions. And that's it's not a lie, by the way, but Mickey Onions is the new nickname. Let's stick with that.
I don't know if I like that.
Gangster. Are you in the mob?
Okay, now I'm starting to like it there.
Okay, all right, fine. So we're kind of doing one of these, I guess. Ask Michael anything about BlindShell Classic 3.
Well done.
With no questions.
And no questions here. No. We do have questions, but we will get to those, because I want to just focus in on the device itself. Now, look, this is the traditional candy bars type smartphone. I say smartphone because it is a smartphone. You might call it a feature phone, but it's more than that, isn't it, Michael? It's more than that kind of device that we had for a long time. You know, what a lot of blind people were looking for, that talking candy bar type phone with physical buttons.
So I'm holding the BlindShell up, and I don't know if it's in frame or not, but we'll roll with it and pretend like it is for those on YouTube. It is more of a smartphone than the BlindShell Classic 2 was. I call the BlindShell Classic 2 a smart feature phone because it allows you to do different tasks on the device with physical push buttons, and you navigate with an up and down buttons. There are two bars on the device. There's an up button and a down button, and those move you through the menu. And one of the features, and we can talk about this, I'll play off of questions you have, is that the screen on the BlindShell Classic 3 is now a touch screen in third-party apps. Now, before you freak out, because I have heard quite a bit of stories about people's opinions of the BlindShell Classic 3 having a touchscreen. Your Classic 2 has a touchscreen too, just so you know. It's just disabled. And the Classic 3 only enables the touchscreen when you open third-party applications, but you don't have to use it if you don't want to.
Yeah, this is one of the differences with this new device. Now, I didn't have the BlindShell Classic 2. In fact, I think I had the very original BlindShell Classic way back when. So that didn't seem like a fair comparison at all. I mean, third-party apps, there's a new AI assistant in there called Luna, and there's a new Tandem app, which we'll talk about. Any other differences? There's no physical difference here between the 2 and 3, is there?
Physically, the phones are exactly the same. So your battery will fit from the Classic 2 and the Classic 3. Your cases will fit. So the phones themselves are physically identical. So holding the Classic 3 in your hand, Stephen, would be just like holding the Classic 2 in your hand. It's identical. Everything is in the same exact place.
Question?
Shaun?
Thank you. As a newbie to BlindShell, are you telling me the batteries are removable and replaceable?
Yes.
Oh, very nice. That is a
nice
throwback, but I do like that. Okay, thank you.
And you can buy as many spare batteries as you want, and it charges with USB-C on the bottom, so it's not like a proprietary cable just to charge it. I really like USB-C. Just
yes, I agree.
And it has a headphone jack.
And it has a headphone jack, which is a winner chicken dinner, I believe is the phrase. The thing about this phone is when you sit down to use it, I mean, first off, it's important to understand it is an Android phone. In amongst all this, it may not feel like that. It may not even be an experience like that. If you've come from using an Android phone or an iPhone, it's not like that at all because you're using physical buttons to navigate around. And of course, you've got this menu system, which is very simple, isn't it? I mean, it's very simple. You're literally, as you say, arrowing up and down. One thing I found about it, which I was really pleased about, and when I compared it to the Capsys Minivision, or Smart Vision, I should say, 3, is it was much more responsive, much quicker, much faster. And even though the internals haven't changed that much, I'm guessing that hasn't changed much beyond version 2 either, but it still seemed speedy to me, still seemed responsive.
So the Classic 3 is slightly speedier, more speedy than the Classic 2. They did increase the RAM on it, so it does... the startup time is about the same. They did change the startup sound, so it does have a different startup sound. I almost thought about maybe I could get it recorded, but I'm not going to commit myself to that. So it's a different sound. It's a lot more subtle.
Once you buy one, you'll know, right?
Yeah, hey, there you go. Go to AT Guys and buy one. The other thing that I don't think we mentioned, and if I mentioned it, Stephen, tell me, Michael, you don't know what you're doing, but the BlindShell Classic 3 now has copy and paste, whereas the Classic 2 did not.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing on there. Okay,
Can I ask? Sorry, another question from the newbie in the call.
No, you cannot.
Sorry.
No, how dare you on a talk show dare to ask questions?
Okay, so the big selling point here: physical buttons, nice and familiar for those of us who maybe aren't that comfortable with the standard smartphone. What's the menu that you're greeted with out of the box? What have you got? Email, messages, I'm guessing. Anything else in there?
So out of the box, when you turn the phone on for the very first time, you are presented with, and this is for the Classic 3 specifically, this out-of-box experience is substantially different in the Classic 2. But the Classic 3, you get some terms and service to agree to. I don't remember having to agree to those on the Classic 2. And I believe it had some basic orientation instructions as well, if I recall right. Now I'm going to have to reset this phone and see what that process is like.
No, you're right. It's got that tutorial when you sort of kick it up.
Okay, so that's what I thought it had, but I wasn't certain. Once you get through all of that, though, and you turn the phone on, it should come up and tell you the time. This is what I tell people is your home screen and the centralized place to start from. Anywhere in the phone, you can press and hold the red button, which is directly above number 3, and it has a slanted line. On the Classic 3, it'll play a little sound to let you know that you're at your home screen. It goes do-do-do, and then it reads the time to you and lets you know that. At this point, you can dial a number. You can press and hold a number if you want to do a quick dial, or press the down button, which is the bottom bar directly above number 2. This opens a menu that says call 1 of 8. On the Classic 2, it would have said call 1 of 7. They've added a new feature called Tandem to the BlindShell Classic 3 that is not available in the Classic 2. In the Classic 3, if you, in either of the phones, if you press the number of the menu option that you hear, it'll jump your focus there. For example, on the Classic 3, I know that Applications is number 5. So if I press number 5, it says Applications. And number 4 on the Classic 2. And then you can press the green OK button, which is directly above number 1, and that will activate that particular menu option. And my phone's talking to me in the background because I'm pushing buttons.
It's fine.
Stop doing that.
Can I just say as well, just as it is talking away in the background there, it made me remind me of something, which is the speaker inside this phone is... Can I just say terrible? Is that okay to say? It is. Yes. It is pretty bad. Yes. If you even wanted to listen, we have this bar that's set in the blind community, right? Can I listen to audiobooks or podcasts on it? I'd say no. I'd say connect a Bluetooth speaker to it. I'd say connect a pair of headphones. I think it's too weak a speaker. It's too trebly.
It's too tinny.
Far too tinny.
Sorry. Yeah. Again, how could that happen on a talking phone? How could they overlook the speaker? That's massive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Moving on. I don't know. I don't work for BlindShell, but look, at the end of the day, did I find it a pleasant listening experience, even with just navigating the menus? Not particularly, no. I think you do have to tune your ears to it a little bit, although it is solved by plugging in a headphone. So, you can have an earbud in there. You could, plug in a pair of headphones. Bluetooth headphones, of course, can connect to it. So you are able to connect
USB-C
stuff
headphones.
up. Yeah. So, and of course, that reduces any lag if you're concerned about lag as well. But, other than that, I wanted to mention the speaker because it isn't that great.
Yeah. So for users of the Classic 2, you know that this has been the case for, it was with older Classic 2 phones. When you turn the phone onto speaker, when you were making a phone call, full transparency, I don't have a SIM card in my phone, so I can't personally verify that this is not the case with the Classic 3, but it is not with newer Classic 2s. And some users have told me with Classic 3s that it is not the case. You could not adjust the volume. So it would come through super loud and it was very distorted. So I just wanted to throw that in there on the speaker aspect of the BlindShell Classic 3. It has something to be...
It's the same issue I have with the Apple Watch right now. I don't know what it is. Inside my house, my Apple Watch is perfect volume. I can adjust the volume. I go outside, that watch is screaming. I do not know what is going on there. But yeah, okay. So the thing about this phone for me was it always felt, before I got hands-on with it, I kind of always felt like it was that entry-level phone, for someone who, wasn't prepared to, didn't want to get an iPhone, didn't want to go down the Android route. You would have an amount of apps you could play with, you could use that would get you through. You've got WhatsApp on there, you've got email on there, you've got your text, you've got your calls, you've got, various other blindness-related apps, audiobook players and things like that. Brilliant stuff in there. But it kind of ended there. And then with the BlindShell Classic 3, and getting hands-on with it, first off, it feels like the speaker doesn't, but everything else feels quite premium about it. The build quality is good. I would say we used to do a toe test around here, where how many toes would it break if it fell on it? I'd say it would probably break at least one.
Yeah,
but not the big one.
Is a good fare.
But not the big one.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's got a lot more power in it now as a result of having the third-party apps. Let's talk about the third-party apps, because this is a mixed bag of experience for us, right? Because we've been talking about this on our WhatsApp chat. And look, some are working. I had a banking app I downloaded, and I can kind of understand this, but also not, that one of the banking apps I had downloaded, it immediately told me it did download it, but then it immediately said it was not available to work on this device and removed it. So, it's not able to work with everything, clearly. You can't just download anything from the Play Store.
Yeah, that is true. And a frustration of mine. I would say one of the more frustrating aspects is not even related to banking apps, but there are several apps that it shows in the app catalog. And the third-party app directory, I think is what it's called, or third-party apps. And then you download it, and then it says 100% downloaded part 4 of 4. And then it says, cannot use this, and then deletes it. Just tell me that before you download the app. Like, you should
That's what happened to me in the banking app, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Question.
Yeah, Sean.
Okay.
You don't have to keep shouting question. You can just talk.
I feel like I'm the gooseberry in this conversation.
No, I want you to ask the questions.
Just ask.
Question. I forgot what it was now.
I'm going to get a jingle for that, and I'm going to play it every single time you do that. We find an audio equivalent of a question
I want someone
mark.
to say, Shaun Preece, double tap. What's your question?
Yes.
Look, from what I understood about this, and the big deal was the third-party application support. But this doesn't then. You can't just load up the Play Store. This is a customized BlindShell Classic 3 specific app store.
So they're using a public app store, because on Android, they have multiple different app stores that you can install and use. And the one they're using is called Aurora. And so apps that are added to Aurora can be typically installed on the BlindShell Classic 3. Doesn't mean that they'll work or let you activate them, but they can be installed if they're in Aurora. And that's what it uses.
Okay, thank you. Carry on.
Yeah, I mean, the third-party app thing is a bit hit and miss because it does depend on the app. Let's talk about the ones that we managed to get going. I mean, for me, it was Seeing AI, which I thought was kind of cool. I kind of thought it might have been in there already on the phone, but it's not. And bear in mind, and this has come up, and I think this is going to come up actually in the future when we talk about these devices. There's sort of two sides of the fence here. When you buy a device like this, do you want a device that you're using buttons to navigate essentially what is a touch screen, but using buttons to navigate it? Or would you rather have what some are calling the Victor Reader Stream model, which is where you have a button, but 1 and 9, say, that you press and you know exactly what that button is going to do. And that's where BlindShell kind of blurs the lines with the whole third-party app integration, doesn't it? Because you move away from having the ability to move through a menu and you know exactly where you are, to suddenly the Wild West of I'm inside an app, I'm now having to navigate this app in the same way I would if I was swiping left and right on a touchscreen, but instead using buttons.
Yeah, and it's legitimately like you're going into an Android app. It even says web view in a lot of apps, Seeing AI, for example, and that tells you, yep, this is an Android app because Android apps are riddled with web views. You get the pro of being able to navigate that app with your buttons. However, what I'm trying to explain to people, and it is a difficult concept if you've never used a touch screen. But when you use your down button, you're starting in the top left corner and you're moving to the element to the right of the top left corner. And in the cases of Android devices, sometimes there'll be 3 or 4 elements, and then it loops down to the next row and you go all the way back to the left. So if what you're looking for is essentially on the 4th row, 3rd item down, you're pressing the down arrow button 18 times to get to that, or 15 times to get to that particular option. What I like about the BlindShell Classic 3 when the apps work with it is I can touch, if I know that that's going to be a middle of the screen, I can touch the middle of the screen. That moves the focus to the middle of the screen, and then you can down arrow from there or up arrow from there if you're past where you want to be, and then press the OK button. Or if you know that the button you want is in the bottom right-hand corner directly above the repeat button, then you touch in the bottom right-hand corner and you can either press OK or double tap on the screen, whichever one you prefer to do.
Wouldn't a left and right arrow been a
Yes.
benefit here?
Yes, it would have been.
Just blue skying.
So I'm using Bard, which is a app in the US, not the formerly Bard from Google, now Gemini, but the Braille and audio reading download service that's from the NLS. And I use that on the BlindShell Classic 3 and on the Sense Player. And I prefer to use it on the Sense Player because I can use my left and right arrow keys to quickly jump to different parts of the application and vertically or horizontally navigate the interface. And the apps are pretty much the same. Just having that left and right arrow key helps you with being able to easily get to the places you want.
But you also have the touch screen as well. And as you said, that's enabled when you go into that third-party app. So you can swipe. So in a way, you have 2 ways to interact. Now, of course, you can. I think you can still disable the screen entirely, can't you?
You cannot disable it in third-party apps.
Oh, really? So it will always remain on?
To the best of my knowledge. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
But that's not negative, is it?
No. And it's maybe a smart move, actually, because you don't want to, you could get stuck potentially in a way that you need to be able to tap on the screen to move along. We all know apps where you can only swipe so far and then you need to really, touch something on the screen in order to move it along. I had just that very issue this morning where something just would not get past the point. But,
Mike?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
Go for it.
Can I just ask about Seeing AI as we're talking about that? So you can navigate around it fine. How does it perform?
It performs pretty well. I was playing with it yesterday, and I was shocked by how quickly it picked up the information that I had. And it scanned a document that I had about a free pancake feast that's happening on the 27th of February. You got to come to Oregon if you want free pancakes, though. And it read that document just fine. It let me navigate it, and I was able to find the phone number there. I did not press OK on the phone number to see if it would let me call that number, but the experience was very pleasant.
And you've got Lookout on there as well, right?
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, you've got all the options in that regard.
And Be My AI.
And Be My AI, yeah. Of course, Be My Eyes.
And Ira.
And Ira. So you've got all the tools that you would expect you would want. I mean, you've got the blind toolkit there, right? It's just getting access beyond that to these third-party apps. And there's no guarantee because, of course, the perfect example is the banking app. There are so many banks. There's no guarantees that you're going to be able to access that bank of yours on there. And of course, part of that is driven by the fact, and it's important to say this, again, comparing it with the Capsys Smart Vision 3, that phone is a Google certified phone. The BlindShell Classic.
The Capsys is.
Yes, the Capsys is. The BlindShell is not. So that must be playing a part in this. And it's a shame because actually if they were Google certified, then I guess you would have more access.
It's absolutely fine. Lots of banking apps won't work on beta software, for example, because the developers and the banks themselves make it known what devices and what OSs this will work on. It makes sense to me. I wouldn't expect banking apps to work, maybe.
I want to talk about the AI features, but before that, tandem, because this was one. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to try this at all. So, have you played with this? Have you talked to people who've been using it?
Sure haven't. And the reason is because there is an arbitrary limitation that I think is very annoying. You have to have a SIM card in your phone in order to use Tandem. Not quite sure what the requirements are, but if you go into Tandem without a SIM card, it gives you some sort of error message that doesn't allow you to use it. I have talked to a couple of people who have used it, and they say it's a pretty good experience to let someone else control their BlindShell, and you can go through as the controller to be able to add contacts or to configure different menu options or help get someone out of a bind if they have gotten into it. But again, you as the controller and the controllee need to have SIM cards in your devices. You can control it from a BlindShell Classic 3, an Android device, or an iPhone device.
Let's talk AI. Luna is the name of the AI assistant. It connects you with ChatGPT. They've called it Luna. You can access it via the button on the phone. You can talk to the device, like many Android phones you can do this with. So I'm always a little bit skeptical of this because I feel, and it's just because I have a lack of imagination when it comes to using GPT. I mean, if I'm doing a specific task, then fair enough. But, I'm not really interested in asking, what is the tallest building in the world or, where was flowers invented or, any of that nonsense. I don't care about any of that stuff. Have you found a use for it? Because one thing, the selling point here was that it can interact with the phone as well. So it's setting calendars, timers, that kind of thing in the same way that Siri can or Gemini can.
I have not found a use for it. So yes, that is one of the selling points is to be able to set the timers and to add a calendar event. And frankly, I have not done much with those. The most that I've done is asked it who certain people are, and it comes up with some responses. One thing that I will say is, and this kind of
hang on, let's not bury the lead here. I mean, come on.
It comes up with some responses.
Okay, so apparently Stephen's an author, and I expect a signed version of his book.
Well, it got most of it right. It hallucinated with the author. I think what it means is I once had my name on a bullet. I mean, the problem is my name's all over that Double Tap On Air website, so it must think I write the whole thing.
Okay. Yeah,
I feel like saying, go look in the mirror, ChatGPT. That's all I'm going to say.
We should explain. We asked Luna, tell me about Stephen Scott, or who is Stephen Scott?
And
who is Stephen Scott?
It got me right, which was kind of impressive.
Yep. It said you were an author as well.
It said
did
a
not know who
broadcaster,
I was,
an author.
so I need to work on my famousness, I guess, and be more prevalent in the community.
Ask it right now who Shaun Preece is. Go on, ask it.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll hold it up here, and I'm going to say,
add favorite application.
No,
don't do that.
Gotta love live demos. So if I go boom, and I say, who is Shaun Preece?
Now, this is one thing you're going to notice about this phone, is it takes a little time to respond.
I like the on-hold music.
Shaun Preece is not a widely recognized public figure, so it's possible that you might be
that's
referring
me.
to someone specific in a particular context.
It knew me more than you. Hooray! I love the BlindShell.
So I'm pretty sure I pronounced your name right. Maybe it's just the way it dictated it / implied what I was trying to ask.
Try
for.
Johnny Breeze.
Johnny Breeze. What is double tap?
Oh. This could go horribly wrong.
About the yes.
Guns or zombies?
Yes. We'll see how it goes. But
double tap typically refers to a gesture used on touch screens where a user quickly taps the screen twice in succession. This action is commonly used to perform specific functions, such as zooming in on an image or selecting an item.
So that and it gives a little bit more detail. So it's a fun gimmicky toy, I think, and that's probably not what they want to hear about their assistant, but it does do a quick. What I find it to be useful for is a lot of times people will struggle with going to Google and doing a search for something.
Yeah.
And then actually activating the link that has the information for what they searched for. And I think Luna can be a good intermediate to that search engine to ask it specific questions, and then it'll come back with the results, and you can navigate that with your up and down arrow keys, and you don't have to worry about ads, which, of course, someone new to the internet doesn't understand why all these ads are there, and they find it I've been using the internet for 30 years now or whatever, and I don't understand sometimes why all the ads are there. But the point is it's a good example of being able to just ask it a question. I asked it for a recipe the other day. It gave me it, and then I was able to use the arrow keys to navigate that result.
That's pretty good. That is pretty good. And I think this is the thing. I'm always very cautious of being perhaps obviously obtuse about this kind of device by saying, well, okay, it's not the iPhone killer. It's not an Android killer. It is a different kind of device. And it is, but I think it's an important device to have out there because there are many people who will be looking for, let's face it, a simple way to navigate a device like this, but still be able to access online. And, there's many people who will use that Luna functionality and have great time asking it questions and all the rest of it. So I do see the benefits there. You get the ability to navigate with buttons. You've got that physical aspect to it, which is really good. You're still using a powerful smartphone. So I do see the benefits here. Personally, would I switch to it from an iPhone? No. Would I switch to it if I was on an Android? I don't think I would, but then I wouldn't even switch to an Android at the moment, so I can't go that far.
Wait. You are having some difficulties now using the touchscreen on your iPhone because of your essential tremor.
Which is why this appealed to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but even so, are you still saying you don't see you switching over to this?
No, I think my takeaway from this was, having played with the Capsys Smart Vision 3, having played with the BlindShell Classic 3, I was really hopeful that the BlindShell Classic 3 would be the one I'd go for. I think it's a cooler looking phone. I think the colors are nice. I think they've got a good design ethos here. It's not a huge phone in your hand. The Capsys Smart Vision, by comparison, is a much larger phone.
Yes.
And it's got that kind of white medical feel about it. It feels like it should come with some hospital sticker attached to it. And it annoys me about that because I think they could really do more with the design and color and accessories and all of that stuff. But I do think the Capsys wins it for me because it's Google certified. The downside of the Capsys is the speed. And we've talked about this before, the speed and the power that's inside it. If that had more power in it, I'd be way more interested because I know that I'm going to get access to all the apps I want, and that is one device that I would probably switch to. I think the implementation of the third-party apps is good on the BlindShell, but the fact that it's not Google certified means that I'm not able to access important apps I need, and that puts me off it.
And see, for me, I have heard from several users that they're disappointed that it doesn't have 5G. Frankly, I don't care about 5G right now. What I am frustrated about, I don't think that matters. I agree.
I don't think that matters.
What I am frustrated about the BlindShell and the Capsys and almost every other blindness-related telephone that you're going to put in the hands of someone who might need it is none of them support eSIM. And I don't understand that because the biggest challenge for me doing customer service with the BlindShell Classic 3 is getting that SIM card and micro SD card in the phone. And I just tell people, I say, take it to T-Mobile. They'll put the SIM card in for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so much easier. Yeah, you're absolutely right. eSIMs would solve all that problem.
Yep.
I'm intrigued by this, that you would go... Because it seems like the perfect phone, right? The design is nice. You both agree on that. It's a nice design. The layout is easy enough. The buttons work well. But just because of a few oversights, it really sort of downgrades it for me. And I've got to say, I'm really surprised that the speaker is of a quality that you say it's of.
See, unlike Steven, I would go with the BlindShell 3 over the Capsies because I like the interface of the BlindShell 3. Yes, it doesn't give me the Google certification on the device or anything, but I know that if I'm in a menu that's saying 1 of 7, I can press number 5 and quickly jump to that menu option. I did not find that reliability when I was playing with the Capsies. If I press number 5, it thought I wanted to dial number 5 or it would go into a different mode. And for me, that makes the BlindShell worth it. For me, I do get frustrated with not being able to install some apps, but you know what? I was able to download and install 1Password, and then it asked me to enter my 25-character recovery code. And I'm like, yep, I'm done with this.
Forget it.
How about MetaView?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, because the MetaView, no, sadly not.
Yeah, the app was in the Aurora store. Then I went to look for it yesterday and could not find it. I found other Meta platforms, but when it was in the Aurora store, from my understanding, people were not able to actually connect their Meta Ray-Ban glasses. It is my understanding that the only wearable technology right now that works with the BlindShell 3, and Cardiff, if you want to send me a pair of Envision glasses, I'll be glad to try it with it, but is the ARX headset, which is wired. And that will work with the BlindShell 3 and 2.
Yeah, that's the only one it would appear it works with. Of course, you could still, if you had a pair of audio sunglasses, I'm sure it would work fine with those because that's just Bluetooth, right? But if you want the cameras, or at least you want the functionality of the Meta Ray-Bans, you're not going to be able to access that for now. At time of recording, that may well change. These things are constantly shifting. But, you know, going back to that point about the Capsies versus the BlindShell Classic 3, if I'm brutally honest, I don't think I'd pick either of them right now. I think the Capsies needs to pick up its feet when it comes to power. I think BlindShell Classic, for me, I don't have the mind to think about when you say menu 1 of 7, my brain doesn't think, oh, I could just hit number 5. I'm immediately on the arrow keys. So for me, that's where the Capsis works. And in a way, it kind of works for me because there's a similarity across the entire Capsis system, because ultimately it's a launcher that you've got, a customized launcher. Every app you go to is the traditional app. You're not going to anything that's built specifically for. There are a couple of apps in there that have been made clearly with Capsis in mind, Capsis Smart Vision in mind, but they are Android apps you can get on any other Android phone. You don't live inside a bubble. And I think the problem with these phones like BlindShell, and I've seen it with Synaptic and others, the challenge is often, it's great when you live inside the ecosystem, but it's when you go outside of it, that's when you've got a problem, because then it's a whole new world, and it is the Wild West. And I go back to my days learning the internet when I just wouldn't go on the internet. I would actively avoid going online because I couldn't understand where I was. I was lost in this website. Felt like I was at sea. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great phone. I think it's a wonderful device. I think many people will benefit from it. Tell me, from your point of view, AT guys, who's buying this? Is there a demographic attached to this, or is it a range of ages?
So the one that stands out to me is I have a lady who bought the Classic 2 because she has neuropathy in her fingers. And I didn't even know this was a thing. But apparently, if you have neuropathy in your fingers, in some instances, the iPhone touchscreen will not even recognize that you're touching it. So you can touch it all day long and it won't activate. And so she bought this because of her finger needs. Another individual, I don't know. I guess I would say that it's older individuals that are purchasing the phone. Some younger people are buying it, but I would say it's primarily focused at older individuals who just want something that they can use to stay connected. One of my favorite stories to tell people is that we had a customer and her mind was blown when she almost called Demasi and I in tears because she was able to talk to her granddaughter independently using WhatsApp. And her granddaughter lived in Germany and she lived in South Dakota or something like that. And she would have never been able to do that in the past because it would have been too expensive to call her. But because she was able to use WhatsApp on the Classic 2, she was able to talk to her. And those kind of stories really make me excited to support the BlindShell Classic 3 and 2. But to answer your question, I'm not seeing a lot of people going out to buy the Classic 2 or the Classic 3 if they already have a Classic 2. unless their Classic 2 is not working anymore. So it's not like, oh, I have to have the newest and greatest phone, at least what we've seen. It's, hey, I'm new to BlindShell. I want to check out the newest and greatest Classic 3, or hey, my Classic 2 doesn't work and I want something new that gives me a bit more features that allows me to get outside the walled garden of the BlindShell a little bit, and then they'll go with the Classic 3.
Yeah. And, there's something in, I know that some people have criticized the fact they haven't changed the design, but I think there's something in that about, not having to constantly go out and buy new accessories for a slightly millimeter design change from an iPhone to an iPhone, You have to go and buy all your new cases and everything else. It's just, it's something quite nice about the fact they've actually just kept everything else the same. I just wish they'd improved that speaker, or even just made it better in the first place.
For sure.
Very interesting. I'll be intrigued to hear what people think. I know lots of people are intrigued by this device, and it may not be for us, but that doesn't mean it's not for you. And that's why it's so important that if you can get hands on with this, you should, because it might be something that is great for you or a family member. I also just want to make it clear that BlindShell did send me a BlindShell Classic 3 for testing purposes. But they have no influence on what we say here. So, we absolutely tell our views and tell our opinions as we find them. But I just want to say thank you to you, Michael, for coming back on and telling us your thoughts on this. Come back soon.
Well, thank you for having me. And AT guys, thank AT guys for sending me the BlindShell Classic 3. I did not buy this either. And JJ did not hear. I don't think JJ heard this before it goes live. So appreciate you guys having me on, and it's always fun.
And if you need a new job, then I'm sure someone can help you out with that one.
Thank you, Mickey Onions.
Mickey Onions. Thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Mickey Onions. I can't believe that's his new name we're giving him. Listen, that is it for us today. We will, of course, be back tomorrow with all the Apple news, the Apple launch event thing. It's going to be the iPhone SE. It's going to be the iPhone SE, Sean. What else is it going to be?
Yes, of course. And people are going to be excited. It's a very popular phone. I hope it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, you can check out our website for all the very latest stories. All of our interviews are available there. You can go check them out. Plus, you can catch up on previous episodes, reviews, and apps and more, all at doubletaponair.com. We'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you, Sean. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.